You ever see a negotiation get shut down so fast it felt personal? Because what just happened wasn't just a no, it was a cold, instant, no hesitation shutdown. Welcome back to WNBA Vibe, and trust me, this one right here? This is getting spicy. That rejection wasn't just quick, it was savage. The WNBA Players Association barely hit send on their counter-proposal Tuesday afternoon, and boom, the response came flying back like a full-court press. No pause. No back and forth. Just immediate and brutal. And when a league reacts that fast, you already know something bigger is brewing behind the scenes. But don't take my word for it. Watch what happened next. Check this out.
On revenue sharing and housing, sources told ESPN. According to a source familiar with the proposal, the Players Union is now asking for an average of 27.5% of the gross revenue. Okay, that's not going to happen. Defined as revenue before deducting expenses over the course of the agreement, including 25% and less than a $9.5 million salary cap in year one.
Whoa, that clip right there. You can feel the tension through the screen. And now it makes even more sense why things escalated this fast. Before the ink was even dry on that proposal, the league came back swinging. I'm not talking about a polite disagreement. I'm talking about a straight-up power move. They didn't just reject it, they labeled it completely unrealistic. That's not business-as-usual language. That's aggressive. That's calculated. That's the kind of statement that sends a message not just to the Players Association, but to every player watching. And then they doubled down. They went on record saying this deal would trigger hundreds of millions of dollars in financial losses. That's a massive claim. When you throw numbers like that into the conversation, you're not negotiating anymore, you're drawing a line in the sand. This just turned from a standard labor discussion into a full-blown showdown. And what the players said in response? Oh yeah, it only poured gasoline on the fire. You need to hear this next part.
I mean, if there had been ink involved in that statement, it wouldn't have been dry. And the WNBA swatted this joker down. Adam Silver said, nah, get out, nah. We're not doing that because for some reason you don't know the difference between gross revenue and net revenue. WNBA released a fiery statement late Tuesday night calling the Players Union latest collective bargaining agreement proposal, quote, unreal.
Yeah, after hearing that response, you can tell this wasn't some soft rejection. The league made it crystal clear, this proposal, dead on arrival. No tweaks. No revisions. No let's circle back. Just flatlined. So now we've got to ask the real question. What did the players put on the table that triggered a shutdown that brutal, that fast? And here's where it gets serious. We're sitting just 80 days away from the 2026 season tipping off. 80 days. Are we actually staring at a cancelled WNBA season if this thing doesn't get solved? Because that's not drama, that's a real possibility. Now here's the breakdown. The players are asking for 27.5% of gross revenue, averaged over the full life of the agreement. That's a massive swing. We're talking about a serious piece of the pie. And when you move the conversation to gross revenue instead of just profit margins, that changes everything. That shifts leverage. That shifts power. That's not a small adjustment, that's a structural overhaul. But wait until you hear how the league responded to that specific number. Because this is where it really turns into a chess match.
I don't know what to tell these players. It's how do you bargain with people that common sense is right out the door? And again, I don't think all these players believe that. I don't. But I think enough believe it. You've got enough Natasha Clouds in the mix to destroy the whole WNBA season. Because she...
Okay, now that breakdown. That's where it gets interesting. They're asking for 25% in year one alone, with a salary cap sitting just under $9.5 million. And if you're thinking, hold up, that actually sounds like they came down a little, you're not wrong. That is a compromise. Back in December, They were swinging for 31% of gross revenue and 28% in year one. So yeah, they adjusted. They moved. They tried to meet somewhere in the middle. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The league isn't really fighting over the exact percentage. It's not about 25 versus 27.5. It's not even about 31. That's not the real beef. The real issue. It goes deeper than the number on the paper. This isn't just math, it's philosophy. It's structure. It's control over how revenue is defined and distributed moving forward. And once you understand what the league is actually pushing back on, you'll see why this thing is completely gridlocked right now. Let me show you.
Now, I'll say that and they'll come to a deal at 10:50 p.m. one night in about 3 weeks. If a deal gets done, that's how it'll get done. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out.
And that last clip, that's the heart of the whole battle right there. Because this isn't just about percentages anymore. It's about two powerful words, gross revenue. And those words, they change the entire game. Gross revenue means money before expenses. Before arena costs. Before charter flights. Before front office salaries. Before marketing. Before any of that gets paid. So from the owner's perspective, they're looking at this proposal and seeing a setup where they're cutting a guaranteed slice of the pie before the bills even hit the table. And in their eyes, that's a direct path to unavoidable losses. No matter how strong the ratings are, no matter how packed the arenas get, no matter how clutch the on-court product is. That's why this feels so locked up right now. It's not emotion. It's math versus momentum. It's growth versus risk. And when both sides think they're protecting the future of the league, that's when negotiations get savage. But here's where it flips, because the players have a counter to that argument, and it's strong. And once you hear their side of this gross revenue fight, you might start looking at it differently. Check this next part. Man, that last clip really flips the script. The league's staring at gross revenue, but the players, they're playing smart, too. Here's the kicker. The players have already made some serious concessions, especially when it comes to housing. Under this new proposal, teams would still cover housing for players in the early years. That's the safety net. But here's the shift. In the later years, if a player is hitting near the max salary on a multi-year deal with full salary protection, that housing benefit goes away. They'd handle their own digs, just like any other high-earning pro. And honestly, that's a logical move. It's strategic, it's fair, and it shows the players aren't just asking for everything under the sun. They're negotiating with structure and nuance, trying to balance fairness with opportunity. But here's where it gets wild. The salary numbers, the revenue split, and these concessions. They all collide in a way that's making the league sweat. And once you see the full financial picture, you'll understand why this is such a ticking clock situation. Check this next clip. Exactly. That last clip really drives home the point. If you're making top-tier money with guaranteed contracts, yeah, you should be able to cover your own apartment. No debate there. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, the league has to provide housing for every player, no matter their income. But with this new proposal, removing that requirement for the highest earners saves teams a real, tangible chunk of cash. On the housing front, the players moved. They showed flexibility, a willingness to negotiate, and a readiness to compromise. But here's the kicker, when it comes to revenue sharing. Not an inch. They held firm. That's the real pressure point. That's the part that could blow the entire season up before it even tips off. And believe me, things are about to get even more intense when you see the league's next move. Check this out. Whoa, that last clip is a full-on reality check. The WNBA dropped their response late Tuesday night, and yeah, that timing? Totally strategic. When a big league hits you with controversial news at 10 p.m. on a random weeknight, you know what they're doing. Trying to bury it, minimize the blowback, and get ahead of the story before anyone wakes up to see it. But here's the kicker. The content of that statement was explosive. The league is saying the players' proposal could result in $460 million in losses. Not over the life of the deal. Total losses. That's the kind of number that makes any rational business owner step back and reconsider everything. And the crazy part? The players don't believe it. Some think the books are cooked. Others think losses are exaggerated just to suppress salaries. And a few genuinely think the owners could absorb it and just write it off. That mindset. That's the problem. You can't negotiate with someone who doesn't care if the business actually loses money. Natasha Cloud even called it out recently, pointing to owners with massive portfolios, suggesting losses could be offset elsewhere. But that's not how you grow a sustainable league, attract investors, or secure bigger TV deals. The fundamental clash is here. Players see a booming revenue machine. Owners see a league still running at a loss, just a little less than before. Same numbers, completely opposite perspectives. And with only 80 days until the 2026 season kicks off, the clock is merciless. Drafts, free agency, training camps, none of it can happen on time without a deal. Housing, players moved. Revenue sharing, not an inch. Gross versus net revenue. That's the battleground. Impasses don't end with logic, they end with pain. Will the players risk paychecks, momentum, and the league's future for principle? That's the million-dollar question. If a deal isn't reached, we're staring at a lockout or a strike. No basketball. And think about what that would do. Last season's momentum, Clark's breakout, record attendance, casual fans tuning in for the first time, all gone. The story flips from excitement to labor disputes, greed, and dysfunction. Recovery from that? Years. This isn't just about 2026 money. It's about building a sustainable WNBA. Investors, networks, sponsors, all are watching. If the owners are guaranteed losses, who's buying in? Who's paying premium broadcast rights? The players need to ask themselves, are we maximizing now at the expense of the league's future? Or is there a middle ground that actually preserves the growth and stability of the WNBA? Right now, we're heading straight for missed deadlines. Training camps delayed, draft postponed, free agency pushed back. And honestly, some union voices don't care if the season is lost, seeing it as a moral win to stand firm. That's terrifying because it could destroy the league's best shot at mainstream relevance. 80 days. No deal. Momentum at risk. Casual fans hanging in the balance. And the big question, will anyone blink in time to save the 2026 season? Or are we watching history get rewritten as the WNBA self-destructs over a fight about whether revenue is calculated before or after expenses? If you're watching this and you care about the league, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit it for every update, every behind-the-scenes breakdown, and every moment that could decide whether the WNBA thrives or tanks. Don't miss a single play, because this story is far from over.